Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books from Book of the Month Club and beyond. I'm your host, I'm Renee, and today I have a book review for you. This book is The Vulnerables by Sigrid Nunez. Miss Nunez has a number of books published. I think it's about 9 or 10 now. And this one here is a work of fiction, or could any of it have really happened? Or is she making it up? You'll understand that line better if you do end up reading the book. And I actually recommend that you do. It's interesting and it is an enjoyable read. It begins in an uncertain spring. Which spring am I referring to? Well, probably and hopefully it's what will be the most uncertain spring of our lifetimes, and that was the spring of 2020. We were all a little bit uncertain at that time. The narrator, who is unnamed in this book, is actually an older woman, and therefore she was considered to be one of the vulnerable. She lived in New York City during the height of the pandemic, and she finds herself babysitting a parrot by the name of Eureka. She's keeping Eureka company, parrots being very social birds, while his owners are actually trapped overseas. They are unable to return due to the pandemic situation. And those kinds of circumstances can only occur during a pandemic, because what ends up happening then is that there's also another person staying at the home. Where the narrator is staying with the parrot, there's also a young man. He is the son of the people who are stuck overseas. Or, I'm sorry, he's the son of a friend of the people who are stuck overseas. So, why can't the narrator return to her own home? Well, she's sublet that to a pulmonologist who is helping at an overcrowded and understaffed city hospital on a temporary basis, again, due to the pandemic situation. So it's all a bit bizarre. But yeah, if you remember, the pandemic times were like that. Indeed, an uncertain spring. So if that line, it was an uncertain spring, sounds familiar to you, it might be because it's the first sentence from Virginia Woolf's book called The Years. Now, the next line in it is this. It is actually so, an uncertain spring for many of us. Even with the promise of warmer days and comfortable nights, there is a chance that seeds will not rise from their rest. So, Miss Nunez, the author, does this type of thing throughout the book. She borrows lines from other works and kind of sprinkles them throughout the story. It takes a bit of getting used to as you're reading it, but it does add to the story in its own way. And during times when maybe you aren't particularly sure what it is that she's kind of saying, just read and go with the flow, because her writing is actually very good. And she'll get you caught up at a point. And if not, I took it as these quotes and sayings were really more about highlighting a certain emotion or bringing in a particular feeling or evoking a certain atmosphere to the story. So my advice with that is just relax. She's got you. At the beginning of the book, there are 3 short quotes that I want to share. And again, these are from other works. There lies behind everything a certain quality which we may call grief. And that is a saying from Jim Saunders, the work being Next Time I'll Sing to You. The next one is life is not what one lived, but what one remembers, and how one remembers it in order to recount it. That's Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Living to Tell the Tale. And then finally, how do you reveal yourself without asking for love or pity? Margot Jefferson, from a seminar on writing Negroland. So we have grief, we have memories, and we have transparency. All things that make us vulnerable. During the pandemic, some were considered more vulnerable than others, but really, we all were. Emotionally, financially, situationally, it was indeed an uncertain spring. I'm happy to see that someone is writing about it without fear or finger pointing, because I think that's a step in the right direction. I like this book. I would give it 4 stars out of 5. It reads fairly quickly. It's only 242 pages, and those are not particularly large pages. It's actually a small, pretty slim book. By far, my favorite character in the book is Eureka, the parrot. He has no idea that there is a pandemic raging outside of his little protected area that he stays in, and he has to be there day after day anyway. Little changes for him during the pandemic, except that he actually, in a way, is kind of getting more attention than he usually does. And he's a very social bird, so that's fine with him. I actually think that just a segment about an older woman, a younger man, and a parrot all living in a New York City apartment during a pandemic could really be a standalone, at least short story or novella, just on its own, and could be hilarious, really. And although this is the basic bones of the story itself, there's a lot more to the book. So if it sounds interesting to you, you might just want to read it and find out. So that's The Vulnerables. Thank you very much for watching. And if you like my content, please give me a subscribe, ring the notification bell, and leave a comment. Have a great day.